So the design pattern that I will be presenting will be visitor design pattern. And my name is Abdul Kader Kaid. This is for my CIS 476 presentation. So the intention of this pattern. What is visitor design pattern? The visitor pattern, it allows us to add new operations to a set of existing objects without altering their structure. By separating their behaviors from the objects, by separating the behaviors from the objects they operate on, this pattern makes it easy to add functionality over time without modifying the original object code. The motivation of this pattern. Why use visitor pattern? So consider a document editor with various elements like text, images, tables. If we want to perform different actions on these elements, the visitor pattern it enables us to define new operations without changing the element classes themselves. This approach makes it easier to keep the code organized and to add new features later on and more manageable. The structure of this pattern. Key parts of the visitor pattern. So this is the structure of the pattern. So as you see, first we have the visitor interface. This interface declares a set of visit methods tailored for each element type, like text element and image element, or image element. Each method is an action specific to that element. Next, we have concrete visitor. This is where the actual operations are defined. For example, a printer visitor may implement methods for printing text and rendering images. Third, we have the element interface. Each element implements an accept method that takes a visitor. This method allows the visitor to interact with the element. Fourth key part of this pattern is concrete element. So each element, like the text element or image element I just mentioned before, they implement the accept method, passing itself to the visitor, which then performs the action. Lastly, we have the object structure. This component manages a collection of elements like a list or tree, and it enables the visitor to access each element and apply its operation. Next slide, we have the consequences of this visitor pattern. So pros and cons of the visitor pattern. I've listed 2 benefits and 2 drawbacks. 2 benefits of this pattern is it's easy to add new operations and separation of concerns. So for easy to add new operations, you can create a new visitor class for each new action without modifying existing elements. And for separation of concerns, by organizing operations in visitor classes, each class focuses on one responsibility, keeping element classes simpler. And as we can dive into the drawbacks, one difficulty about this pattern is it's difficult with new elements. So adding a new element type, it requires updating every visitor class to handle the new element, which can be tedious if it can lead to a lot of repetitive work if you have many visitors. And the second drawback would be increased dependency. Element classes must know about the visitor interface to allow the visitors to interact with them, which can complicate larger systems. Known uses of this visitor pattern. So the visitor pattern, it has various real-world applications. We can observe them in compilers. They're used for multiple processing steps on the syntax trees, and they're also used in the UI systems, which enables custom actions on diverse UI components. Also used in file systems, it allows different processing, scanning, compression for files and folders, and it is also used in data management, with useful in databases for handling various data types with specific operations. Okay, for this pattern, I decided this unique demo that I created. So consider an electronics store where items like laptops and smartphones can be evaluated by different visitors, such as a cost calculator or a warranty checker. Here in this setup, electronics cost calculator and warranty checker are visitor classes that interact with the laptop and smartphone elements. This design allows us to add new operations without modifying the classes for laptop and smartphone classes. Okay, for our demo, this is our code. So I hope you can read based on the PPT. Other than that, it's already uploaded. But okay, source code. We can start from the beginning. Common sense. Okay, we have the electronics item interface. This is the base interface for all items, like the laptop, smartphone. Laptop, smartphone implement this interface. Each item has a accept method, which takes a visitor. And we can see below that the laptop and smartphone classes. Each of these classes implement the electronics item interface, and they include specific properties like price and brand. When an item accepts a visitor, it calls the corresponding method in the visitor for that specific item type. And lastly, we have the electronics cost calculator. This visitor class calculates the final cost of each item based on its properties. For instance, if a laptop is used, it applies a discount. Okay, here is what matters. So here is the source code PowerPoint continued. It has a client code and the output. And the electronics client class code, this class contains the main method, which we create an array of electronics item objects like laptops and smartphones. And we also have the calculate total cost method. This method iterates over each item and applies a visitor, calculating the total cost based on each item's specific properties. And here we have the output of this specific client code with the specific inputs. When we run the program, we can see each item's final cost followed by the total cost. So we can see laptop Dell Inspiron, final cost 800. Same laptop, but with a different visitor, you can see 400, and so on. And at the bottom is the total cost. And That is it for this visitor pattern presentation. These are the main references that I used. Hope you guys liked it, and you can dive more reading these, going through these references. It's an interesting pattern, and yeah, thank you.